gosh.
He won't look at her. I'm watching this again, and I'm thinking, as a debate coach, turn your face. Pay attention. Donald Trump reminds women of their first husband's divorce lawyer. I don't believe that he understands just how angry people are with him.
What a jabroni.
It's certainly a fascinating night in what has become...
You're certainly a fascinating bunch. I've been quite fascinated tonight. Let's get on to Frank Luntz.
Do you think that's the case? Do you think Kamala won? And does that mean she...
God, he looks bad. He looks like Steve Bannon bad. Has he been hitting the bottle? Oh no. Chat, Frank Luntz does not look healthy.
She may now win the election.
I think more...
How old is he?
Accurately, it says Donald Trump lost. And this
is what I've been saying.
It's not the worst debate performance I've seen in my career.
Yeah, how dare ABC say people aren't eating pets? Come on.
Very close to it. The conversations about people eating dogs and cats.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Calling the leader of Hungary one of the greatest world leaders.
Now, here's the deal, though. I think that Donald Trump got away with that, right? Luntz is talking about Viktor Orban. This is a fascist, right? A fascist strongman from that was in power in Hungary. He's Trump's whole thing was Viktor Orban said I was a great politician. Viktor Orban says that people are afraid of Trump. It's like a dictator saying, this guy was a really good dictator. We need to have him back. But the problem is people don't know who Viktor Orban is. They know who Vladimir Putin is. They don't like Vladimir Putin. If he had said Putin, it would have been great. But he didn't. He said Orban. And people just don't know Orban. So I don't think that actually hurt him.
Missing the opportunity.
He looks like Night of the Living Dead. Looks like he lives. Oh no.
Focus on inflation and affordability and the complete inability to present.
Omega Star says put them in Fox. I'm fine with that.
His
on
point
Fox.
Of view, without completely tearing into her, into Joe Biden, into whomever was in his sights. It was a pretty negative performance, pretty pessimistic, cynical, contemptuous, and I think that this will cost him. Yes,
the election. The election. Say it.
Yes.
Say it.
I think
this will cost him the election.
Is because of this debate performance.
Yo. Okay, look, this guy's a Republican. He's not a good guy. All right. Fuck Frank Luntz, right? Also, I'm so glad that I watched this, right? Now, don't take it to the bank. Don't make it a sure thing. I don't even think that's what Frank Luntz is saying. I just think he's saying that in all likelihood, Donald Trump lost his chance at winning the debate, winning the election. And coming from Frank Luntz, that means a lot. If he saw a path, right, he'd be talking about that. Instead, he's like, I think he just lost. I think I just saw him lose.
There are very few undecided voters left. It's about 5% of the vote. And they only matter in 7 states. And those states are too close to call. So essentially, we're looking at less than 1% of America. And they're going to spend $2 billion. The whole race is going to focus on this tiny sliver of the country. But they heard nothing from Trump to give them a sense of anything that would be different going forward. Harris did not talk about details. She did not give her plans, no policies, no specifics. We do know what she cares about, and we know what soundbites she uses. And she was, other than her facial expressions, which were clearly demeaning and hurt her own messaging, she didn't make up any real slips. She didn't, but she didn't tell us who she is. She didn't prioritize. And I actually think that this is pretty bad for the entire country, that if these are the best that the Democrats and Republicans can do, it's a pretty sad state for American democracy.
Well, what I felt watching her was that she had determined clearly in advance that she was going to be prosecutorial, which obviously plays to her prosecutor strengths, that she was going to look at him directly, repeatedly, mock him, scorn him when she believed he was saying ridiculous things, for the optics that would create, but that she would also go after him quite hard in the way that she did, as if she was in a courtroom. And Trump just seemed like he wasn't ready for that, which I find baffling, because that was always going to be her best chance of taking on Trump, given her background. He just did not seem ready. And unlike with Hillary Clinton, he didn't know how to deal with it. He didn't know how to handle her.
I agree with that. In fact, maybe you should have been his debate prep person, because he clearly didn't listen to the people in his ear.
Look,
the issue with Trump is that his campaign...
Look, Preparation H couldn't have helped Trump on that stage that night. It wasn't his debate people. It was him. It was him.
The campaign in 2024 is better. It is more tuned to what these undecided voters think. It is more effective at drawing a distinction between his record and the...
Yeah, obsessive audio. The only people that know who Orban is, like, by and large, are either on the left, and they're not gonna, they're too smart to vote for Donald Trump ever, or they're on the right, and they really like Viktor Orban. But as far as, like, you know, swing voters being like, ooh, Viktor Orban says he's good, here, let me vote for him, or even them saying, ooh, Viktor Orban, the fascist, no thank you, right? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The people that are, they're both trying to win over, they don't know who Orban is.
Biden-Harris record, and it delivers its negative message in a efficient way. The only thing that's not working about the campaign is the candidate himself.
YouTube auto-played me here from an edited clip of Trump getting a soup can thrown at him. Oh, it's edited. I was about to get excited.
You're correct. Now let's take it a step further.
I bet though Trump, if he really did, he would dodge, right? He would pull a George W. Bush and he would dodge.
Not only was he ill-prepared,
He would do the weave. He would do the weave, chat. He would do the weave. Sorry.
These long, sometimes very complex sentences and paragraphs, but they all come together. I do it a lot. I do it with...
he could not stay on message. He could not stay focused specifically on inflation, affordability, food, fuel, housing, healthcare, none of that. And when given the chance to do it, he diverted onto some other issue that was simply ineffective. And when he talked about immigration, which is his other strong point, he did so out of anger, out of bitterness, out of vitriol. They want to be safe. They want to be secure. They want a strong border. They agree with Trump. But the way that he articulated it, this resentment and this ugliness, it's too much for undecided voters, and it's going to hurt him come November.
I remember you saying in a Times interview, I think it was just before Biden pulled out of the race, but you said that...
If I had Frank Luntz on my stream to talk to, I would ask him if he thought, like, what he thought about the immigration situation, and if he thought that there might be any kind of October surprise or any kind of psyop or whatever that Trump might try to do, if there was any sort of way that Trump could, like, demagogue immigration a little bit harder, right? Because that's the only thing I can think of kind of like coming in and changing the game here.
And it's Biden's inability to galvanize people to come out.
He seems plastered. I don't know. Maybe he's depressed. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want, he's not looking forward to the Kamala Harris administration.
Vote for him, which may be the tipping point for him. Conversely, could it be that her performance last night
Did he just let a little squeaker out? Chad, I just thought I heard a, like...
inability to galvanize people to come out and vote for him, which may be the tipping point for him.
What a sad little fart.
Conversely, could it be that her performance last night by Kamala Harris, that might galvanize just a few more people to feel like, yes, I'm going to come out, particularly given that Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star in the world, has come out with a really ringing endorsement. And we know she has millions of Gen Z girls, young women, who
the stands
abide by her every word. Could that move the needle in terms of the polling and ultimately the votes?
Yes, it could. And this is why I was so eager to do this one-on-one with you. You understand it. You were here for long enough that it made a difference. You're one of the few people
letting out a little Trump
who knows British politics and American politics, and in this case, pop culture. She is an icon for younger women who are completely disengaged and
He just gave Pierce accolades for, like, yes, you know that Taylor Swift is a popular person in the United States of America. You know British politics and American politics. Good job. Good job, Pierce. I'm so proud of you. You're so good.
Involved when it was Trump versus Biden. Now that Harris is the opponent, they can't.
It looks like a drippy painting.
And that changes the entire electoral makeup, with younger women taking a bigger percentage of the actual voting public, which I believe that they will. That means that Democrats benefit for the Senate, they benefit for the House, and all the races down ticket. So not only are you seeing this continuing surge for the Harris candidacy, but the Republicans have been stopped in their pursuit of gaining the Senate.
Wait, Trump said that's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick. It's too heavy, but you can throw soup. You really put some power into it, right? Yeah, I guess so.
And blocked in their pursuit.
I mean, that's probably true. I feel like with a brick, you'd probably throw your arm out. You might pull your arm out of socket, like either in your shoulder or your elbow. But with a soup can, you could wing it. You could just wing that thing, right? It would slosh a little bit, but you could wing it.
Pursuit of maintaining control of the House. I think that what happened last night, combined with the Taylor Swift endorsement, gives Democrats at least a 50-50 shot of taking all three positions. And if they do, gone will be the filibuster. D.C. will become a state.
Wait, what? Bro. Oh, D.C. becoming a state would be great, but...
Gives Democrats at least a 50-50 shot of taking all three of the House. I think that but the Republicans have been stopped in their pursuit of gaining the Senate and blocked in their pursuit of maintaining control of the House. I think that what happened last night, combined with the Taylor Swift endorsement, gives Democrats at least a 50-50 shot of taking all three positions. And if they do, gone will be the filibuster. D.C. will become...
Okay, now here's how that works, though. As far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. Gone will be the filibuster if the Democrats have, what is it, 60 votes? Or 50, is it 55? I'm trying to remember, chat. I'm trying to remember back to Obama, right? There was one term in which they kind of, when they had everybody see, there was a whole thing where Ted Kennedy was dying and Al Franken was coming in, and there was a little bit of time where they had do they have 60 seats? I can't remember. 10 plus splatter damage? Damn.
State. There'll be campaign changes in campaign laws and election laws. I'm told that they're going to go after the Supreme Court to add 4 more seats. And when you start to make these fundamental changes, it's hard to see how it's
2/3, so it's 66. Are you sure about that? Because there's nobody that's had 66, right? Obama might have had 60. Obama might have had 60s for a short time, right? But yeah, there was one. But they also did, oh my God, reconciliation, right? Is that how they did it? They read it through with reconciliation.
Conservatives will come back into power, and
But the problem with reconciliation is you can do one bill per year on reconciliation, and it has to impact the budget, right? It has to change the budget. I think that's the requirement, if I remember correctly.
Frankly, the public is so divided and so angry right now that they may just sit back and say, go ahead, it's your turn.
They'll say, your move. It's time to duel.
Taylor Swift.
Sorry, chat.
Casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
He's talking about changing the rule to 60, from 60 to 50. Yeah, so that's the nuclear option that Queen Bee is talking about. And so far, the Democrats have been a little too scared to do that because obviously the problem with the nuclear option is that then it blows up in your face potentially if you lose the Senate.
Because she fights for the rights and causes, I believe I need a warrior to champion them.
She's a warrior?
Steady-handed, gifted leader. I believe we can accomplish so much more in the country if we're led by calm and not chaos. Particularly, she referenced LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, a woman's right to her own body, and so on. That was a big part of last night, the big exchange about abortion. I thought that was where Kamala Harris was at her most powerful, perhaps, on policy. And if you're a young woman watching that, well, let's watch a clip, actually, because I've got a clip of this. Let's watch a clip.
Yeah, so the whole nuclear option thing that Queen Bee was talking about, right? It points to the fact that a lot of the rules in the Senate are not laws, they're not constitutional, they are conventions. They are agreed upon procedures that are done out of a sense of what they call comedy, right? The House is a lot more contentious.
You know, the vote is they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
Abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation.
Seth Evans says bourgeoisie, congeniality, their precise civility. Yeah, that's what pisses me off about the Senate.
Decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral.
They can change. Yeah. Every year they're allowed to set the vote threshold at the beginning of the Senate. And so I guess the idea is that if the Democrats decided, okay, it's going to be 50, it's going to be 51, then the Republicans would probably, if they got back in, they would be like, it's 51. Like it would, I don't know, literally what all that ending the filibuster entails. I swear Harris puts, so you know what that tells you? On some level, the Democrats like having the filibuster. They like the fact that if there's a bill that's really fucking popular that they can pass through the House and it gets to the Senate, that they can say, ooh, geez, I'm so sorry. I would love to do it, but the Republicans twisted my arm. We're going to have to water the bill down. I'm sorry. And it's convenient because the donors love that too. The donors don't want when the people get a progressive hair up their butt, their proverbial butt, their collective butt. The Democrats' job a lot of times is just to keep that from translating into a single payer healthcare system, for instance, right? Give us something, water it down, Obama. That's what he's there for.
And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
I thought that was very powerful for Harris.
It was. And the fact is, he won't look at her. I'm watching this again, and I'm thinking, as a debate coach, turn your face, pay attention. He's looking either at the camera or the moderator.
Well, no, his problem is, though, that if he looks at Kamala, he's going to get mad, right? If he reacts, he's going to be nasty. And he kind of knows not to do that, right? Like, he's kind of like just doing his best he can to maintain, and he's not maintaining very well.
And showing no acceptance that she's right there. And by the way, you know what that looks like? For every woman that reminds them of their husband or their boyfriend simply ignoring what they have to say, having disrespect and contempt, and it's agitating to women watching. Trump can't just win with men. He's got to get women. I don't know if you heard me say this, but the issue, Donald Trump reminds women of their first husband's divorce lawyer. That is just absolutely disastrous.
Can he win in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, the three crucial swing states, just with men? No, but you can't win the country. Right now, the gender gap is roughly even. She's up 15, 17 points among women. He's up 13, 14 points among men.
Okay, now, whoever said that they thought that maybe Frank Luntz was actually sloshed, you could be right. You could be right.
Get the gap, that they're more female voters. But it is this mirror image of each other. And it goes back to a point that I make on your show that I make every time I speak out. These divisions are getting worse and worse. And it's going to become, at some point, you break. At some point, you can't talk to each other. Playing identity politics or woke politics is dividing the country, and it's getting horrific. And I'm so glad you showed that clip, because the contempt that he shows her, she's pissed at him. I assume you can use that word.
Yeah.
But the contempt that he shows her is going to hurt him with female voters.
He's on YouTube. People don't realize this, right? People see the chyrons and everything, and they assume that Pierce is somehow with a network. He's not. He's not. He's gone. He is no longer going to be on a network. He's a persona non grata, where he what was it, GB, that he used to work at?
Particularly older female voters who otherwise might have voted for him. And you're going to see this in the polls. It'll take about 4 or 5 days to show up. But I do think that this has the potential to be a fatal mistake on Trump's part.
Ronald Reagan famously had a terrible first debate before he became president and turned things around with a brilliant second debate. If there was another debate, do you think Trump has it in him to recognize what went wrong last night and to be a different character in a second debate?
He has the capability to turn this around. Absolutely. Because the public thinks he was a better president. The public thinks that the administration was more successful. The public is actually on his side on the two issues that matter most. But they've come to really dislike him. And I think I'm as explicit as I am because I don't believe that he understands just how angry people are with him.
He has an Alex Jones set, yeah.
Just how frustrated they are with him and how they want him to simply be quiet. And he's incapable of...
Look, they would rather, okay, if they were going to do, if the Republicans were going to try as hard as they could, and the Democrats were going to try as hard as they could, get rid of Biden, get rid of Trump, right? Find somebody that like rises to the top the way that Kamala does. And then you've got a real election. You got a real chance. You got a possibility, right? They won't do it. They won't do it. The Republicans will not do it. Trump will not do it. Trump is too much in his ego. He's too much in his feelings. And he's actually got too much on the line. Much like Netanyahu, he needs to be in office. He needs to be the president in order to avoid legal responsibility that he's got.
Doing it. He wants all the cameras. I'm thinking, what analogy can I do with the stuff that's sitting in front of me right now? He believes that if he's speaking, he's winning. That if the camera's lights are on, that he's successful. And someone has never gotten into his head and said, you know what? For you, sir, just for a moment, a little silence would go a long way.
You know, he had 6 minutes more airtime than Kamala Harris last night. If he'd had 6 minutes less airtime, he might have won the debate.
I don't know about that, Pierce, but I do know that there are probably, you know, it would probably be 6 minutes of him saying bullshit less. There'd be 6 minutes less of clips, and maybe that gives Kamala a chance to mess up herself, right? Maybe there's 6 minutes more of her talking, and she says something embarrassing. She says something wrong. She says something that he jumps on, right? It's possible, but in terms of him winning the debate, he was so far off, and Frank Luntz is missing this.
Exactly. You got it.
Frank Luntz, brilliant to talk to you, as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.